Hawkins was a quiet town. Days passed slowly. Most people felt safe there. 4 boys spent almost every day together. Mike liked to take responsibility. He spoke calmly and often thought before acting. His friends trusted him without question. Dustin loved talking and asking questions. He enjoyed strange ideas and never lost his excitement. Lucas watched his surroundings carefully. He believed danger often came without warning. Will stayed quiet most of the time. He felt emotions deeply and noticed small changes around him. That afternoon, the boys rode their bikes near the edge of town. The sky looked darker than usual. The air felt heavy and strange. Will slowed down first. "I don't like this," he said softly. Dustin laughed. "It's just a cloudy day." Lucas looked toward the forest. Tall trees stood close together. Very little light passed through them. "That place feels wrong," he said. Mike stayed silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "Let's be careful." They entered the forest. The path became narrow. Leaves covered the ground. The forest felt quiet, but not peaceful. A sound came from the bushes. They stopped. Mike raised his hand. "Did you hear that?" he asked. Another sound followed. Slow footsteps, careful movement. A girl stepped out between the trees. She looked young and scared. Her clothes were dirty and too big for her. Her head was shaved. She stared at the boys without speaking. Dustin whispered, "Who is she?" The girl stepped back. Her hands shook. Will felt a strange warmth inside his chest. He did not understand it, but he felt close to her. A deep sound echoed through the forest. It came from far away, but it felt dangerous. The girl grabbed her head. "No," she whispered. The ground shook slightly. Leaves lifted into the air. The girl raised her hand. The sound stopped. Silence filled the forest. "My name is 11, she said quietly. In that moment, nothing in Hawkins stayed the same. The forest stayed silent after 11 spoke. Mike felt his heart beat faster. Something bad was still there. A low sound returned. This time it came closer. Lucas grabbed his bike. "We need to move, now." 11 looked around quickly. Fear filled her eyes. "They are close," she said. Dustin swallowed hard. "Who is they?" 11 did not answer. She turned and started running. The boys followed her without thinking. Branches hit their arms. Leaves slipped under their feet. The sound followed them through the trees. Will looked back. Shadows moved between the trunks. "It's coming!" he shouted. Mike pushed himself harder. "Don't stop!" A loud growl filled the forest. The ground shook again. Dustin almost fell. Lucas pulled him up just in time. They reached a small open space. The trees ended suddenly. A dark shape appeared behind them, tall, thin, wrong. Dustin froze. That is not normal. The creature moved closer. Each step felt heavy. 11 stopped running. Mike turned toward her. "Come on!" 11 shook her head. "No more running." She stepped forward. Her hands shook, but her eyes stayed focused. The creature screamed. 11 raised her arms. The air pushed forward like a strong wave. The creature flew back into the trees. The forest went quiet again. 11 dropped to her knees. Mike ran to her side. "Are you okay?" She breathed slowly. Blood ran from her nose. "I can still stand," she said. Lucas looked around. "It will come back." Mike nodded. "Then we leave. Together." They helped 11 onto a bike. They rode fast toward town. The forest stayed behind them, but the danger did not. Something had seen them. Something now knew their faces. The boys rode fast through the streets. Their hearts still raced. The forest felt close, even inside town. They stopped near an old building. 11 looked around with fear. Her body felt weak. Mike spoke calmly. "We rest for a moment." 11 nodded. She sat down and closed her eyes. A strange sound filled the air. Not loud, not clear. Lucas felt it first. "Do you hear that?" Dustin listened. "It sounds like a machine." Will looked toward the road. A light moved between the houses. Then another light appeared. 11 opened her eyes. "They are here," she whispered. Mike stood up quickly. "Who?" 11 shook her head. "They look for me." The lights moved closer. Engines stopped. Doors opened. Men stepped out. They wore dark clothes. They spoke quietly into radios. Lucas clenched his fists. "They don't look friendly." One man pointed at the ground. He kneeled and touched the dirt. "They track us," Dustin said. 11 grabbed her head. Her breathing grew heavy. Mike knelt beside her. "Look at me," he said softly. "We won't leave you." A loud voice echoed through the street. "Search the area." The boys hid behind the building. Their breath stayed quiet. Footsteps came closer. Flashlights cut through the dark. Will felt fear rise inside him. His hands shook. 11 stood up slowly. "I can stop them," she said. Lucas stepped in front of her. "No, you already helped us." Mike nodded. "We protect you now." A flashlight moved toward them. The light stopped near the wall. Dustin held his breath. The man turned away. The lights moved farther down the street. Engines started again. Silence returned. 11 fell back down. Her face looked pale. "They will come again," she said. Mike looked at his friends. "Then we hide her. For real." The danger had a face now, and it was getting closer. Mike's house stood at the end of a quiet street. No lights came from the windows, and the curtains stayed closed. The boys entered through the back door and moved carefully, since they did not want to make any noise. 11 stopped near the stairs and looked around slowly. The basement felt strange to her, but it did not feel cold or dangerous. The air felt warmer than the forest, and the silence felt calm instead of scary. "This is my home," Mike said in a soft voice. "You can stay here for now." 11 nodded, but she stayed close to him. Dustin walked around the room and tried to act normal, even though his voice sounded tense. Lucas moved to the small window and checked the street outside. He stayed serious and alert, just like always. Will sat on the floor near 11. He spoke gently and kept his eyes on her face. "You can rest here. No one will hurt you." 11 sat down slowly. Her hands still shook and her head felt heavy. Mike went upstairs and returned with a blanket. He placed it over her shoulders, and she looked surprised by the small act of kindness. "No one ever did this for me before," 11 said quietly. Mike felt a tight feeling in his chest. "You are safe with us," he replied. Dustin brought some food from the kitchen and placed it on the table. 11 watched the food for a moment, then took a small bite. Her shoulders relaxed and her breathing became slower. Lucas looked at her and spoke carefully. "Using your power hurts you, right?" 11 nodded. "It always hurts after." Will leaned closer. "You still help us every time." 11 looked up. "I want to protect you." The basement stayed quiet for a moment. The silence felt warm and shared. 11 showed a small smile, and it was the first real smile the boys had seen from her. Outside, the night stayed dark and still. The danger did not disappear. It waited. The basement stayed quiet for a while. The boys tried to relax, but no one truly felt calm. 11 sat on the floor with the blanket around her shoulders and kept her eyes closed. Her breathing sounded slow, but her face looked tense. Mike watched her closely. "Are you okay?" he asked. 11 opened her eyes. "I feel strange," she said. "My head feels full." Dustin tried to joke, but his voice sounded unsure. "Full like too much homework?" 11 did not smile. A low sound filled the room. It came from nowhere and everywhere at once. The lights above them flickered and grew weaker. Lucas stood up quickly and looked around. "This is not good," he said. 11 grabbed her head and let out a short cry. The air in the basement felt heavy, almost hard to breathe. Small objects on the table began to shake. A chair moved a little on its own. Will felt fear rise inside him. He stepped back slowly. 11, he said, "please look at me." 11 tried to stand, but her legs felt weak. Her hands lifted without control. The lights flashed bright, then went dark for a second. Mike rushed to her side. "You don't have to do anything," he said. "We are here." The walls vibrated softly. Dust fell from the ceiling. 11 screamed, and a strong wave of energy pushed through the basement. Boxes fell over, and the table slid across the floor. Then it stopped. 11 collapsed into Mike's arms. Her body felt light and cold. Blood ran slowly from her nose. Lucas moved closer and helped Mike lay her down. Dustin stood frozen, his face pale. Will knelt beside 11 and held her hand. "I didn't want this," 11 whispered. "I can't always stop it." Mike looked at his friends. Fear filled his chest, but his voice stayed firm. "We don't leave her," he said. No matter what happens next, the power inside 11 was strong, and it was growing harder to control. The night felt too quiet. Mike's house stayed dark, but something moved outside. 11 sat on the floor and held her head. Her body felt weak. Her power felt unstable. Then she froze. "He is here," she whispered. Mike looked at her. "Who?" 11's face turned pale. "Papa." Lights flashed outside the house. Cars stopped near the street. Heavy boots touched the ground. A calm voice spoke through a speaker. 11. "Come out. You are not in trouble." 11 covered her ears. Her breathing became fast. Lucas grabbed a bat. Dustin shook his head. "This is bad, very bad." The back door broke open. Men entered the house. They moved fast and silent. Papa stepped forward. He looked calm, almost kind. "You are tired," he said. "You need help." 11 stood up. "No," she said. "I stay with them." Papa raised his hand. A small device fired bright lines of electricity. The energy hit 11's body. She screamed. Her power disappeared. Her legs gave up. Mike ran toward her. "Stop!" Men pushed the boys back. Papa knelt beside 11. "Sleep," he said softly. 11's eyes closed. They carried her outside. The cars left quickly. The house stayed silent. Dustin punched the wall. "They took her." Mike clenched his fists. "We are not done." Will looked at the street. "The lab," he said quietly. Lucas nodded. "They think kids cannot get inside." Mike's eyes sharpened. Then we prove them wrong. The boys gathered around the table. Maps, wires, and old tools lay in front of them. They had a plan. And they were going to break into the lab. Cold water surrounded 11. Wires covered her body. Lights blinked above her head. A screen showed numbers and lines. Machines sent medicine into her veins. Papa stood near the glass. His face stayed calm. His voice stayed soft. "You are safe here," he said. "You belong here." 11 closed her eyes. Her mind felt slow. Her body felt heavy. In another room, the boys stood with guards around them. Their hands were tied. Fear filled their faces. Papa turned to the screen. "Look," he said. "Your friends are in danger." 11 opened her eyes. Mike stepped forward. "Let them go," he shouted. Papa walked closer to Mike. "You have no power here." He raised his hand and hit Mike hard across the face. Mike flew back and hit the floor. He did not move. 11 screamed. Her heart stopped for a moment. Her breath disappeared. She believed Mike was gone. Something broke inside her. The lights flickered, the machines shook, the screen went dark. 11 opened her eyes again. All the wires around her started to move. Metal bent, glass cracked. Papa stepped back. "Stop," he said. 11 lifted her hand. The cables ripped away from her body. Electric sparks filled the room. The water tank exploded open. 11 rose into the air. Free. Guards ran toward her. She pushed them back with a strong force. They hit the walls and fell. They did not move. Papa tried to speak again. 11 looked at him. Her eyes burned with anger. She lifted him off the ground. His body shook. He could not move. "You hurt him," she said. She dropped him to the floor. He stayed alive, but broken. 11 ran to Mike. She fell beside him and touched his face. "Mike," she whispered. Mike coughed. His eyes opened slowly. 11 cried and laughed at the same time. She hugged him tightly. She did not let go. Mike held her back with shaking arms. The others ran to them. Dustin, Lucas, and Will joined the hug. They stayed like that for a long moment. Alarms screamed through the building. 11 stood up. "We leave now." They ran through the halls together. Doors opened. Lights failed. They escaped into the night. Behind them, the lab stayed silent. Far below the building, something moved. Not human, not alive. A dark presence waited. It watched. It learned. The danger was not over. It had only begun.